Hey everybody, welcome to the Break Room Podcast. This is Vin and Chris coming to you with our live reactions from just watching the first episode of House of the Dragon. We've been heavily anticipating this. We've been constantly talking about Game of Thrones, I think, since the first pilot episode of the Break Room. So we've been definitely anticipating this for a while. Chris is well read into everything going on, so he's kind of going to be our guide through this season without spoiling too much, without I think getting ahead of ourselves. Chris, I wanted to get your reaction. What did you think, knowing what you know? How did this episode go for you?
Um, again, or maybe not again, but it says it in the title. I'm just going to let everyone know if you're watching this right now, we're talking about the episode that just aired. So don't watch this if you haven't watched the first episode of House of the Dragon on HBO. So spoilers. If you continue to listen and you didn't watch the show, you're a fucking idiot.
What are you doing here? Yeah, I'm sorry, but
Yeah,
what are you doing here? We
just
love
leave.
you for watching us, but what are you doing?
Yeah,
Go watch the show and come back.
yeah, yeah. You're not an idiot. I take it back, but go watch the show and then come back. Um, no, it was super interesting. I mean, we've spoken about it, like what the plot is and what it was gonna be about.
Yeah.
And one of the things I mentioned, and I worried it might be a spoiler, was that he named his daughter his heir.
Yes.
But I didn't say anything really beyond that, so that's good
Yeah.
because that's episode one. I haven't really spoiled too much of the
No.
plot in the episodes leading up to this, but I thought they did a great job telling everything. The birth or whatever you want to call it, the cesarean, I don't know what you would call it in that place
C-section.
because it was a very horrible, bloody thing.
Yes.
Um, I thought they did a good job at
Battlefield.
showing what childbirth really does look like, especially in that age, which
Era.
is just it's fucked up. So yeah, that was pretty crazy. I like how they tied it in with the dueling. I think they did a good job developing all the characters. There were some deviations though, which we can talk about after.
Yeah.
Some of them minor, but I do want to like pick apart a
Definitely
few
pick it
little
apart.
things, and they're not criticisms; they're just things to
No.
point out because I'm a book nerd. But the the coolest thing, oh man, I don't want to just splurge it all out there. There's what
All right,
was your
so
reaction?
let's do this then. Yeah, I was gonna say let's do broad strokes. How did you feel? How they did it? What, just the overall feeling you got from the episode? It felt to me great to be back in Westeros. To me, all right. If you want my reaction, Game of Thrones is back. This is like they were full tilt. Given this everything they had, they were fully aware of. I think the audience's whatever temperament, how our expectations are very high. Obviously, some people feel let down by the last season. They knew that going in, so everything to me that they showed was Game of Thrones at full volume. So from the music, the when we first see King's Landing, and just to be back in the world of Westeros felt great. I just felt right at home again. It felt familiar, but the plot and the characters and the tone of even the city, I was surprised at. Like, it's a time of prosperity. It's a clear time of prosperity. It seems that in King's Landing, the Red Keep is open to people. There's lots of people going in and out. It just seems overall as a time of prosperity and peace would be the feeling I got from looking at King's Landing, bird's eye view. Of course, we don't know the nitty gritty yet and all the little subplots we're going to get introduced to. I could see some of the threads being pulled and the dynamics at the small council, but overall, I would give the episode a 10 if I had to give it a rating. My phone was already going off. Again, I say Game of Thrones is back because all my group chats are popping off Game of Thrones talk. I have random friends texting me about certain plot points. Oh, what skull is that? So when those things start to happen, me and my girlfriend Sam, we started immediately talking about this. I want to rewatch it before even coming on here to talk to you. I was excited to do it because I knew we'd have a lot of energy coming off the episode. But to me, it's a 10 because I want to go back and watch it again right away with no hesitation. I just want to go back and see the names. There's definitely some characters I don't
It helped
know.
having the captions on. I had the
Yeah,
captions on, and it's like fucking. It's saying names, like it's telling you who the lords are. Like this is
that's
Lord
helpful because
Baratheon. This is Lord whoever. You know it.
the obvious I could obviously tell, but dude, the lists like when they were doing the tourney, that was great because just the pomp,
Yeah,
just the
the pomp.
whole scale of it. It's obviously now they have the budgeting, they have the ability to go spend $100 million on this thing, but even still, it fits inside the storytelling because it's such a period of prosperity under the Targaryen rule. Um, yeah, instantly hooked right away, right back in it. I got my book here. Gonna pull this open. This will be a helpful guide going back, trying to see the lineages and some of the characters.
I whipped that out
Um,
last week.
yep, Chris has been on this. This is time. This is Chris's time to thrive. Chris has been waiting for this. He's been saying this for years, ever since we've all been bad mouthing the end of Game of Thrones in the season. He
Motherfuckers,
said,
I told
everyone's
you
gonna
you'd
be
be
right
back.
back.
Yeah.
You all forget, So
Petulant
I, of
children.
course,
Petulant
no.
children.
Oh, you know what word was for you? You know what the word for you was? Tell me the word that they chose and they put in that show, and to me it was your word. The lick spittle.
Oh man.
Fuck Viserys is berating Daemon in the throne room, and he's like, "You're in the fucking whorehouse with your lick spittles." Oh, dude, I immediately thought of you. I thought that was so fucking funny, man.
I love that shit, man.
Perfect quote. Another great Game of Thrones. It's gonna go in the histories of I think our quoting there. That was a really a well done.
It was
that was a well done scene.
If you read the story, they did a good job like portraying all of it. In the because it's one thing to write it and write. It's written away, but to act it out, it has to be. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but it's one thing to have the idea and have it written, but then to actually act it out and have it be a good scene is another thing. Yeah. And they do it in a subtle way.
Heads.
Exactly.
Yes.
So,
Daemon and his brother, there's brotherly love. It doesn't have. It's not like I guess we never saw it in person, but Stannis and Robert or Renly and Robert even. There's a mutual respect between the two. But there's obviously the subtleties and the long histories that the Targaryen baggage, as it were. And then obviously he, Chris is in a
having a sneezer.
Daemon Daemon said that the one way he seemingly doesn't respect his brother is because he feels his brother gives too much leeway. His brother seems amiable. He portrays him, the actor's portrayal of Viserys.
When a king is caught on the throne, it is always taken as a symbol that the king is unworthy or the king is
unfit,
is weak. Yeah. So they have this festering wound on his back.
Yes.
Which is interesting because in the books, the way that it's told, and the one behind you, that's where the story is first told that I remember is in that World of Ice and Fire book behind you.
Mm-hmm.
Then I mentioned it last week. There was 2 short stories that was like part 1 and part 2 that were written in compilation books with other authors. It was like a medley of other short stories, and you had to buy this compilation to get The Rogue Prince and The Princess and the Queen, I think is the title of the other one. The audiobooks were narrated by Ian Glenn, the guy who plays Sajora. Great oration of it. It's nice. Great listen. Then it was retold again in this Fire and Blood thing. Yeah. So
George wrote it himself, so it was a little bit more, I guess. What would you say? It's part of the approved and stamped. Lore.
It was all of them were written by him, but in different ways, and they all kind of get more detailed each time. But yeah, man, I think they did a great job. There was some things that were different. I do want to talk about that. So, and it's totally cool. It's not a complaint again, but so for instance, in the very beginning, they say that the contest for the heir after the old King Jaehaerys, who's going to be the heir, it was Viserys, the guy who goes on to become king, and like his it was like his older aunt or whatever, his Rhaenys, I think is her name, yes. Right? Okay. And she's passed over. In the books, it's not quite like that. In the books, she has a son with the sea snake who's like a baby, named Lenor. He's like a kid or whatever.
They
And
said she has a clear male heir. It was
yes,
said in
but it
there.
wasn't posed like that. It was never that she would get the throne. It was always that kind of patriarchal, systemic bullshit where she wasn't gonna get the throne. It was gonna go to her son, which would
Hmm.
create problems because he would be underage, and so he
Yeah.
would need a forget the name of it, like the guy who rules in your place until you're of age. Um, so yeah, that was one difference. I'm trying to think of some others. There's a few minor differences. Fuck, I mean, but nothing significant. Nothing that could make like the book nerds unhappy. There were minor things. I can't even remember
That
them now.
this is like they stayed away from. They did such a good job because it's clear that people involved were part of Game of Thrones before, so they understand. You know, they understand that what the audience is looking for in a way,
Oh, now I
and they're
remember.
avoiding what happened.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. I remember the other one of the other differences.
Mm,
I mean, I
what was it?
well, so her mother, the one that's dying in childbirth, right? She
Yes,
looks like a Targaryen or something like that.
yes.
She's
I
not.
was actually
She's
talking.
she's
Oh no,
um she's supposed to be a lady of the Vale. I think she's like an Aaron or something like that. His first
no
wife.
shit.
Yeah, if I'm not
I guess that makes
mistaken.
sense because his brother's married to a lady of the Vale as well, right?
Right.
Damon's married to
Runestone.
Farrell's.
Yeah.
Oh, Runes.
His bronze
Yeah.
bitch. That's right out of the books. My bronze bitch. Yeah. That's right out of the books. I'm pretty sure his first wife was from the Vale or whatever, but they show her as like a Targaryen. The other thing was the closeness between Princess Rhaenyra, or
Hmm.
Heir Rhaenyra, and Alicent Hightower. Is they're very friendly. They're like girls hanging out, like hugging and laughing. And I don't really remember them having that relationship. It was more so when Viserys' father or grandfather, actually, Jaehaerys, the old king, the king before him, when he was in his older age, she took care of him. Um, she would like read to him and like I guess clean him and like just she took care of him, and that's how the king was like introduced to her. Was he saw like she was at the castle because she would like take care of you know the alien grandfather, and I guess they
Okay.
developed some sort of relationship because also the hand of the king is Sir Otto, I think it's Otto Hightower, and that's his
Yes.
daughter. So you could see he's like pimping
Yes.
her out, which was kind of that was interesting to see. Where he's like, go visit him in his chambers. That was like
That's
okay,
yeah. Funny you say that because I think that one of the dynamics they want to show very clearly here, and where Game of Thrones would obviously be an example of it breaking from the patriarchal circumstances and where women are pawns. Their feelings are not really of any concern to anybody. They're whether it's King Viserys sacrificing his wife, for the babe. It's just clear what like women are there to do. That's like
yeah,
to birth sons. That's what they're clearly painting, and that's going to be obviously the clear conflict going forward. Is that the answer to their problems, all their quarrels, all that little squabbling at the fucking small council right after his wife and baby died, is over the succession, and it's clear. Oh, well, he has a daughter, no problem, but that they're avoiding that at all costs. It's clear there are many people who will go to war over this. So they do it very subtly. They do it in a way that it's not too telling, but it's there. You might not know their names at the small council yet, but they are plotting. They are devious and plotting.
yeah,
They are always going for their own. They're trying to take advantage. Damon is going to be shown as correct when that small council views that king as weak. They're so good at that. So what I was saying before, just the fact that all of these guys, the director, the orchestrator, everyone's connected to Game of Thrones in a way that they're paying homage to what they did before, without overdoing it. They didn't overuse the dragons. They weren't like using things to stimulate the audience in a cheap way. I think this gets back to what made season 1 of Game of Thrones great. It's the politic, it's the dynamic and the dialogue and the subtleties of what's happening. We'll get good payoffs. The lists, the battle was violent, the scene on the birthing bed was violent. Like they're going to give us that, but I just think that the people that are involved in this now, and I think the director is the director throughout the season this time instead of multiple directors. I'm not sure of that, but I don't know. I'm very excited. I'm very excited to go rewatch. I'm very excited to see what's coming up next. I don't even think I watched the preview for the next episode. I think I immediately dove onto my phone and started answering text messages and just saying like, "We're back, dude. We are back." Chris would be more excited if he wasn't sick.
No, yeah, I mean, don't mistake my lack of candor or whatever. I have a headache, but I watched it and I thoroughly enjoyed it. You know what stuck out the most to me, what really was like one of my favorite takeaways from it, as somebody that knows the whole story already, was that they added, you know, when he was explaining to her the significance of inheriting the throne,
Yes.
and Aegon the Conqueror had a dream, because you have to understand. So
That's a big deal. This is a big deal, actually.
well, the whole reason why the Targaryens left Valyria was there was a Targaryen.
Prophecy of the Doom.
I think her name was Daenerys.
Yeah. Okay.
The Dreamer, and she has a dream that Valyria is going to fucking like explode, and her father or whoever was the king, listens to her, and all the Targaryens left Valyria, along with the
Yes.
Valerians, who is the sea
Yes.
snake,
Yes.
and I think maybe a few other kind of Valyrian families, but it was mostly those two. And they migrate. They migrate west to Westeros, and first they fight on the sea stones, like against the Triarchy.
Dragonstone and shit, right?
They're alluding to the war that's going on in like the east.
Yes.
This is going to be an important part of the story. Yeah, the pirates. I forget the guy's name. It was Ricalio Rendoon.
Yeah, they gave him a name.
I think it was Ricalio Rendoon. I don't remember if it was the Crab Feeder. Yeah, Craigus, the Crab Feeder. Yeah,
Craigus.
So, yeah, that's all like the free cities to the east. They have like their own war going on. But anyway, what I was getting at was the whole idea of Daenerys the Dreamer. Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. She predicted the fall of Valyria. They were like fucking kind of not hounded out of Valyria, but like all the other Valyrian families were like, look at these fucking idiots leaving. Fuck you guys. We're gonna take your shit, whatever you leave behind. And then Valyria fucking explodes. There's the Doom of Valyria. Aegon the Conqueror, that like a couple of generations later. It doesn't happen immediately, I don't think. But Aegon the Conqueror conquers Westeros. And they said that the whole thing behind this was that he also had visions of the doom of everything that happens in Game of Thrones. I thought that was fucking cool. And then he had the dagger, which would end up being the dagger that kills the Night King. It should have been a Targaryen wielding it, not, Arya, in my opinion. But
yes. That brings over. Yeah, that's the only reason I don't like that, is that it's a really direct connection. It does bring up.
It still found its way there,
But I said this to myself: if I didn't know George Martin, the guy who birthed this story, was so directly involved, I would view that as almost cheap. You know what I mean? Like, but the other part of me knows, like, okay, first you have a TV audience. They need to be invested in this. There needs to be. We understand the connections and the subtleties, but maybe not everybody who's watching is that invested in the way we are. So they want to draw a very direct reason and motivation behind the ascension of the queen. Even the writers say this if you watch in the post-episode thing. They talk about like the motivation of her ascending to the throne. It's more than ambition. It's actually a duty and so on. And they're using this prophecy. It's clearly a prophecy now, a song of ice and fire.
It was Aegon's prophecy. That's what's interesting to me, is that Aegon the Conqueror had this vision, and it was passed down,
from king to king,
through the
secretly,
generations.
in secret. That's like that's a big piece of lore for them to give to the show, and for Martin to.
Well, something that's interesting is that if you think about it, John indirectly does stab the Night King because a running like joke between John and Arya, and like thing that she remembers him saying, or he remembers her saying, was what's sticking with the pointy end. What's the first rude rule of swordplay? Sticking with the pointy end. And inevitably, that dagger found its way into her hands, and she stuck the Night King with the pointy end. So, in a sense, it does all connect. It doesn't always need to be a direct thing.
No, definitely not.
That's fucking awesome. I bought that dagger. I went and I went to Valyrian Steel and I got the goddamn Valyrian Steel
cat spa
officially licensed. It's called Arya's dagger, which is fine because
they're gonna rename that anyway. Now
they're gonna rename it,
get its proper name,
and that'll be a collector's item because it'll still be considered Arya's. I don't know. Yeah,
that's a nice thread. Yeah, those they needed at least one solid one, and there's so many things to observe that are like mind-blowing to watch. When it's Jaehaerys on the throne in the shattered throne room, I don't know exactly what the story is behind that, but
what, all the swords?
Well, no, I'm saying like when they show the thing in with Jaehaerys, he's sitting in a room. They had the Great Council or whatever. This is not the throne room. They're not at
I think they were at Valyria. I think they were at
Old Valyria, right?
No. You can't go to Old Valyria. I think they're at Harrenhal.
Oh, that would make sense
because that's the only place big enough to house everybody. I think would be.
That's crazy. So that's the first time we really get to see Harrenhal aside from.
It might have been. I mean, I do kind of remember that it looking very foreboding and doomy, but I also figured that maybe that's just like, a castle area. Because this is before a lot of things are constructed. This is only 100 years into King's Landing. It's not going to be as built up. The whole church or sept isn't even built yet. So I don't know exactly where that took place, but I got to rewatch it again and pick up on those details.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. There's definitely the rewatchability is very high. That's why I say it's a 10. That's why I can easily give it that. It's like a perfect score. I don't see any downside to the episode. I'm watching some of the stuff in the background now, and I'm like, it's jogging my memory pretty heavy. But anything I want to go back and immediately rewatch, considering all the content that we've been watching over the past couple of years, let's say Star Wars, Mando, Obi-Wan, you name it. Very few of them have that, like, I have to rewatch this again rating, and I think this is easily that. I instinctually just wanted to turn the episode back on and rewatch because not only do you want to get the details, but they nailed everything so well. They nailed the tone and the feeling of being back in Westeros. That was what I was excited for.
Yeah.
To be back in this universe and enjoy all the little shit that's about to come, all the politicking and the backstabbing and the wonderful quotes that we'll get. I think this is Game of Thrones at its best.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, like, I don't love this first episode as much as I love the first episode of Game of Thrones.
Okay.
But I don't, that's not to take anything away from it. I'm
happy I don't know anything, to be honest, at this point. I'm very glad to not. Yeah, I'm glad to not be read in because I feel like I have baby eyes. I'm just seeing this very fresh, and I think I want to continue that. It'll be tough, I think, when the season ends and you want to continue to consume content, and what you tend to do is, all right, I want to hear the next stories. But that's all good. This is all things we wanted. We wanted this to first rekindle the friendship and all of the talkings and the going-ons around the show. Tomorrow is going to be exciting. Everybody's going to want to talk about this. So I think they nailed it. It's a grand slam for setting up the show. I definitely look forward to next Sunday for sure.
There's nothing I think that they could have done better. I almost want a little bit more humor in it, but that
shit was funny, dude.
There was some funny. Damon is funny.
He's that guy's clever.
Matt Smith, he does a great job. Yeah, he's. I think it's interesting too how they like speak in Valyrian to each other. Yeah, there's
Yes, they use Valerian clear, like she's speaking to the dragon Dracarys. They've done enough. There's enough fan service in there too to really satisfy everybody.
yeah, and there's some new stuff, man. Like the Dragon Guard, like the guys that are it's like
Poor
wrangling the
bastards.
dragons for a lack of better words.
Yeah.
That's they're making sense of everything. So
Now
fuck.
I have a question since you know a lot about these characters and everything and how they're built. With Damon, Damon seems built out as like the perfect guy on the exterior. He has the command of his troops. He knows how to get allies. He's very clever and he seems to know how to manipulate. He knows how to use power when it's given. Like his use of the Kingsguard, I think, is a clear example where, oh well, you made me head of the Kingsguard. Great, I'm gonna take it to the fucking.
City Watch.
The, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
The City Watch. I'm gonna take it to the absolute
Nth degree.
edge, yeah, of what my power really allows me to do. And I'm not going to tell you I'm back. I'm not going to introduce myself. I'm not going to do any of the pomp. I'm just going to But then on the flip side, he is pompous. He seems to like and enjoy his.
That's what's happening right now in the background. They're beating the shit out. Well, so that's the thing is, they portray it like they're just beating the shit out of like innocent people too, which, I don't think was really correct. I don't. Maybe they weren't. Maybe they were just specifically. Oh, there's some ass cheeks. Maybe they were just. Oh, there it is.
It's a good portrayal of some classic Game of Thrones. It wouldn't be Game of Thrones without, I guess, some of that.
I don't want to get.
You know what it is too. I think it's an honest portrayal of what happens when law and order reigns. Where it's like, yeah, sure, they're only gonna get the bad guys, and that's never what happens when you unleash law and order on people. There are always innocents caught in the crossfire of it.
Well, before all of this, there is no City Watch really. There's
that's
just
interesting.
like
it was created
rabble, pretty much. All like imagine New York City without a police force, and he establishes the gold cloaks. He's the one that actually gives them the uniform and the equipment.
What happens in those? Yeah, what happens in those circumstances is there's a power struggle in the underbelly. So there's usually mafia-esque things that are created.
Definitely he's a rogue
and he's a rogue, and he would go in and castrate or make deals, whatever he needed to do.
100%.
He seems very savvy. He also seems like another tortured character where he internally struggles with. They showed it in the scene. He's having a problem. Obviously, he's concerned about succession, so he's
sitting there listening to them talking shit about him, which
he was having sex in front of everybody, and then he kind of gave up on it because he was distracted.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, that's the whole thing is, he's like the kind of like the king of the underground. Whores love him, thieves he's friends with the thieves, and he also fucking arrest them and keep but no, he cleans shit up a bit, and he even explains afterwards, he's like, people are afraid to come here, we got to clean up a bit. Granted, there's a cart full of fucking limbs, but
well, I think it was interesting when they introed King's Landing. The prosperity was clear, though. There was like,
oh yeah,
a very peaceful prosperity. There was a lot of people inside of the Red Keep. Like, it just seemed more active and open in comparison to, let's say, Robert's rule, where things are probably a little more.
Robert had tons of tourneys and stuff like that. Robert's court was pretty lively. It was the court that came afterwards that was, fucking.
Well, that was different. Whatever. I just felt like they represented the prosperity in the scenes.
Yeah,
in the opening shots, you could see just a general sense of peace. And of course, are the Reavers and the Rapers.
They've had like I don't know how long Jaehaerys reigned, for like 60 years or something like that, like a generation or two of peace and kind of prosperity.
That was all for George Martin as well, by the way. That whole scene, that whole addressing of the lineage and the voiceover explaining, that was literally to correct the wrong that I had shown you that people pointed out of when.
I mean, that's all still the thing from Game of Thrones is still way down the line, but Yeah, no, they were definitely pretty clear with it. Like I said, they did make the mother like a Valyrian, which isn't accurate, I don't think, but um
I assumed her to be. I will tell you as a naive audience member, not knowing, I would definitely perceive her to be Targaryen. Whether, because I said it to Sam, I was like, she's either his cousin or something else, and that would explain why she's always having trouble in the birthing bed and she lost many children because of the incest. But I guess
yeah,
you're
I'm pretty
telling me
sure
that's
she's
not
supposed to be a
correct.
lady of the Vale, and that's important because when Rhaenyra needs allies, she looks to the Vale because she's part like Aaron or whatever. I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm wrong. I gotta check my fucking notes, I guess. But
You'd have to start taking secondary watch notes. When I watch it the second time, I think I'm
yeah,
gonna have to start like jotting things down if we're
watch
gonna
it
have these
with
conversations.
captions. Put on the subtitles because like
That's
they
the
even
next
show
what I have
you
to
the
do.
name of Damon's like whatever you want to call her paramour is Mizaria, and they said that and
Was
her name,
she
yeah, she's a main character.
from
She's
Westworld? I picked
I
her
don't
out
know.
from something, and I'm pretty sure it's Westworld, but I couldn't put my finger on. Oh, I know exactly who she is. She's an ex machina. I don't know if anybody's ever seen that movie. Obscure reference, but she plays a silent um, robot maid. Anyway,
Huh.
that's I now recognize her.
Yeah, she's Mizaria, the white worm.
The White Worm.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's what she comes to be
it
known
was
as. So
cool. The scene with Damon and her and the dragon. You know, he
yeah,
had her approach the dragon. Fire made,
pretty accurate.
flesh made fire or whatever. Fire made flesh, and when she touches it, I assumed it would be hot like an oven.
Yeah.
Touching those dragons.
Yeah, they have
That was
an interesting dynamic. The whole thing with the bronze bitch and having a wife in the veil that
that he never
he
goes and
doesn't
sees.
see. Apparently she's ugly, and the veil's
Yeah, he's
boring, and he's out of the mix. But he also, in his mind, he is the rightful heir, and by
yeah,
all the rules, he is the rightful heir.
yeah.
By the
He has
precedent set. But
yeah.
because the Hand of the King, the Hightower guy, is like, oh, fuck him. That's what's creating this power struggle. And also, he is a
Yes.
bit of a rogue, so he's right to a degree. Like, you can't have this guy be king, as far as we know
No,
about him.
and from what I understood, and I try not to like read too much in advance of the show, but my understanding is this is, and George Martin says it's more Shakespearean. We're not gonna have the big bad. We're not gonna have the Night King. We're not gonna have even like the Cersei, let's say, because they're trying not to
They do
do
have
that.
some of that down the line. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's some fucked up individuals that are gonna show up in
Like,
this show that are villainous.
oh, you're gonna have your Boltons and your your Ramses and all of that.
There's
But even
grasping people for sure, but yes, it's subtle. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's gonna be
you'll
drawn out.
always that was always the great part of like you understood like Jamie was the most hated character season 1, but by season 3 you are very empathetic to his situation because they did such a good job of telling you kind of the internal motivations of Jamie, why he was the way he was, and the manipulation. So like that stuff is clearly in this show, and that's the stuff that I look forward to seeing even more because it's the power dynamics are great. The politics are the best part. The
Yeah,
violence is just okay, cool. Like I'll always love a good scene, like,
they
but
needed to have that birth scene. They needed something
it was
that was
great.
horrible to watch.
It was
Uh,
great because they went back and forth between the lists and the birthing bed and the list. The what they said was I forgot what the writer said. It was like fictional war. They call it, because that's what a tourney is. It's a
they say the
fictional war.
birthing bed is its own battlefield.
Is a battlefield for women, and she says it to her daughter, earlier on. So,
Yeah,
oh man, the names though. Now it's a name game again. I'm trying to remember Hightower's name. He's great.
I
Like
think
that
it's
actor
Otto, I
a lot.
believe.
Otto, yeah, I
Otto
like him as an
Hightower.
actor a lot. So I kind of like his character. He seems to be the wise. Uh, he's daunted with all having to actually rule. It seems like the
It's the
hand
Hand
is
of the
always
King.
forced.
He's grasping in his own way. I mean, you could see he's kind of
Yes,
a
he
piece of
is.
shit pimping out his daughter.
Yeah.
He's grasping, but he's also capable. He's kind of like a Tywin Lannister of sorts. Yeah, I would say
Okay.
if you were gonna compare roles, he's similar to Tywin Lannister, but I don't know. different, of course, and maybe more grasping in a sense.
I'm curious to ask if the character who seems to be the Master of Coin or Master of Whispers, they didn't make it a point to highlight him, but they did
He
show
was
a
missing.
couple. Was he missing? Well, who was then betting? Someone was betting on the lists as they were happening.
That was Lord Beesbury.
Who is he strikes me to be a devious little shit. I don't know if I'm wrong or my perception is wrong, or maybe I'm reading into it a little, but
Lord Beesbury's all right. Lord Beesbury's all right. He is a substantial in the overall plot of things. He plays a role, not substantial, but he plays a role. I'll tell you. I'll spoil it for you later if you want. I won't do it on here. They had Strong. I forget his first name. The guy Strong, brown hair. He was a little different than I was expecting him to look. But he was there. They didn't have a few characters, at least that I didn't see. They didn't have Mushroom, who's like a court jester. He's a dwarf. I didn't see him anywhere. And they didn't have Laris the Clubfoot, who is also a Strong. And he is pretty much his name is Laris with an L, but he's pretty much the Varys character in the books at least. So I don't know if they're going to combine characters or what they're going to do yet.
For the tone of the show in the first episode, I feel like it was smart to maybe avoid some of the underbelly stuff. We as an audience, they're showing us the bird's eye view. They're reintroducing us to the world, and they're giving us the experience of they showed so many different rooms. They showed Balerion the Dread in the Skull Room. They're taking us through these things.
The Dragon Pit.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was fucking cool. I love the lists. The tourney stood out as a really great scene. So they're taking their time to show us all of the gravitas, and then I think as of course, as the episodes go down, we'll get into the underbelly and into the more devious side of things.
Yeah. There's definitely, they set the table. There was a lot of good shit, but it's just the beginning. There's only, so much that we could really say about it. It's too soon to kind of, for anybody that hasn't read the story, to make any real guesses as far as what's going to happen. But again, I assure you it's going to be amazing. It's over a pretty long span of time. I don't know how long this goes out for, but we're talking a couple of generations of kids get born. So
under this text,
yeah, these people, become mothers and have kids, and become fathers and have kids, and
that's funny. That makes this story easier to tell as a TV show, because let's say in this season, whatever, she's younger, and then in a season or two, they're older, it would make more sense. Oh yeah, this character's of age to be a mother, and it makes sense that she has kids now. I don't know if they're gonna do that. I wonder, because
they have to.
You spend so much time.
The story is it's multi-generational. They have to tell it that way. So I don't know how they're gonna do it. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be different from Game of Thrones in that. They have to show the passing of time and show how this little baby becomes a kid and a teenager. It takes place over a long period of time. I don't know how they're gonna do it, but they set the table very well, and we're definitely gonna be feasting on some good content over the next couple of weeks. I can't fucking wait.
Oh yes, yeah. So we're gonna try to do these on Monday. I think that makes the most sense as a follow-up for the audience. We want to let everybody get time to watch this, and let the guys watch this. Not everybody's able to, stay up and watch on Sunday there. But luckily, we're back to a Sunday, 9 o'clock. I don't know what the fuck else you're really doing at Sunday, on a Sunday at 9, but you should be watching this. This is definitely going to be the show of the season. I can't wait to come back and talk more about it. And I think we're going to jump off here and continue to talk to everybody else out there, everybody watching. I know you guys have your theories and thoughts too, so we can't wait to hear from everyone.
Hell yeah. If you need any help understanding what's going on, feel free to shoot us a message. We're the experts.
Yeah, for sure.
Godspeed, guys.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining.